Welcome to Iniolua Hat Millinery Academy, where we teach extensively on several millinery headwears. We do hope you learn.
Okay, so this is our cutout design. As you can see, so we're sewing out the head. I'm using 21 by 2.5 inches. So you just get this at shoemaker's shop, and then the fabric we'll be using for the body is 23 by 18.5. Okay, this is almost 19, but you can always use like 18 inches. So this is 19 by 23 inches. So why are we cutting the mako? The reason why we have cut, I want to explain why I had to cut that long length, because this is going to overlap on this, and then we are leaving like 1 inch. 1 inch will go in. So this is how you're going to sew it in. So this is 23, so that we can get a space to sew at this edge. So you're going to be folding 1 inch in, and then you sew this down at the machine. So just take it to your sewing machine and sew this corner down. Sewing it, please ensure you notch your mako at the center, and also notch your material so that you make sure it's well centralized. But we've been able to, I can depict my center, but please do that in case, because we used a mako size of 21 inches. Then if you were using something like, some people prefer to use 18, so it's not that you have to use 20. Some people prefer to use 18, some even use 19, some use 20, depending on what you want. They might not want the mako to get to the back. Okay, so after doing that, because this is the front, if you fold it in like this, let's assume that your sewing was not neat, just like this. So please, you just try to shift it in, like try to turn it a little, such that the sewing will come inside and not at the end. So you just move it, try to shift it, and do that all around to the very end. Doing all of that, turning it. So now we sew it at the opposite side, and then you measure your band size. Ordinarily, this is not a stretchable material. Please, you only do this to a material that stretches, a stretching material, maybe like raw silk, crepe, and all that. So if it doesn't have, if it's not stretchy, that means you have to put a band, like you have to tie it. But I'm just doing this for explanation so that we can. So I'll measure the band size I want. So this is like 20. This is 20. We use 23. So definitely, I don't want to fold this. I don't want it to get flat. So I'm assuming I'm going to sew my sewing allowance of half an inch here. That means that will give me 22. That means my width. So I'm just going to measure out half an inch here, and then I'm going to sew it all the way down. But when I'm sewing, I won't sew straight like this. I'm going to sew it the way we sew turban. So I'm going to cut a curve from this place. So I just measure like 5 inches here. I measure 5 inches here, and then I measure 5 inches here too. So some use 4 inches. So get which one works better for you. So just draw out the curve. And then you cut it. And so the next thing you do now is just sew it round and sew it to this edge. So let me measure the width so that we know. So this is 3 inches on fold. So that's 6 inches, and then the length is, say, this almost 31. So I have this length, so this is like 31, but you can always cut like 30 inches. So that should do you. So just measure your 3 inches across and then. So this is 6 by 30 inches. So now this is on fold. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to sew it. I'm going to sew this place on the machine now. I'm going to sew this portion on the machine, on the sewing machine. So when I'm done sewing, I'll tell us. We're going to do our running stitches from this point, from the very end here. So just do your running stitches from this point to this point. Done with the running stitches now. So I just tie my knots. Okay. So now when you are done, all you just need to do is turn it out. So now your Zara cap is done. You see the reason why we said we should turn it, just shift it in so that your joining would not show outside, it will be inside. So all you just need to do is, so as our cap is ready now, all we just need to do is look for a design to put at the back. So that's what we want to do now. So I'm crinoline sewing. So what I do is, if I want to, I'm going to turn it. So watch how I'm going to turn it out. I'm going to turn it out first. After turning it out, can you see? And then you now fold it into two equal halves, all the way down. You can pin it down so that you don't get confused. So can you see? So all I just need to do is do a running stitches round this edge to form a rose. But if you want it to be bulky, you can put your crinoline or you put a wording inside, but I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm going to be forming my rose now. So I'm going to start my running stitches. I'm going to cut this edge. So I do a running stitches round. So this satin is very, very soft. If you have a harder one, something like this, it will still give you, you know, it will still be much better than this very soft. It's very soft. So just do a running stitches round to the, so you keep doing your running stitches. So I'm still doing my running stitches. I'm almost done. So you just end it at that point you started from. So once you do your running stitches, you have, you know, the big. So let's assume you had a crinoline inside. It would have given you, you know, you can imagine how bulky it would have looked. It would have been very nice. So just have your rose. So you have your rose. So you can do another smaller size and put, or you can put a brooch or a rose or any other thing, and then just attach it at the back of your. Tack it down to that base.
Put feather.
Just tack it down. So all you just need to do is tack it down. So just tack that place down. So and then you can embellish. Apply your gum and then you attach it. But if I'm going to use my glue gum so as to avoid stain, I will not put glue gum at the edges, because there's probably that when I place it, it will be shifting about. So I will just target the center and then wait for it to dry a little before attaching it. So you just put different appliques on it, and then our Zara cap is ready. You take about it. So once the glue gum is a little dry, I just place it on it. And then I place the other part. So now this would have been a little dry, so now I'm going to press it down so that it will come down very well. So now my Zara, this is it. Okay. Thank you. See you.